Hey, what's up? Scott Balkum here from Imagination Creation Films, and today we're covering the montage. In filmmaking, there's going to come a time when you're going to need to have a whole bunch of things happen in a very short period of time. That's called a montage, and it's actually super easy to do. Let me just show you. I'm still learning how to drink coffee. I haven't quite achieved that balance yet, but I'm working on it. Montages. They're actually a very simple and very effective film technique. Basically, you use them when you need to show a whole bunch of things that are going to happen. And it is not necessarily important to the story other than you need to just establish that these things have happened. So you don't want to spend 10, 15 minutes of your story showing those things. So you can do that in a montage. And a montage is basically a very condensed version of the storyline. Now, an interesting way to think about a montage is like a photo album or your curated photos on your computer. They are a small subset of pictures, videos, audio, what have you, that you can put together really quickly to tell that story. That little montage there was how to make a mocha. I spent just a couple of hours doing it. It's not that big of a deal. The key things that you're looking for is how to make it interesting and not seem like a slideshow. A lot of that can be done with camera movement or transitions. And those are both used sometimes together on that montage. Sometimes it was just a transition, sometimes just a camera movement, sometimes it was all. And the way to think about when you're shooting for a montage is, how do I get in, how do I get out? And you kind of want to think about that at all times and give yourself options. I could just do it with transitions and that'll look just fine, but you want to give yourself options. So one option is the pan away. If I'm pointed at you and you're the interesting thing that I want to capture, I start over here. I pull to it, get the little part that I need, and then pull away. And that's just called a pan away or a whip pan. And it's used a lot in films. You don't even know it half the time, but it's just a small little thing that you can do that'll make it interesting. So if I do this and then I pull out, and then my next shot, I do this and then I pull out, I can actually tie those two together and overlap the swish. So it looks like I came to here and then I pulled away, and then right here is where my next subject is. And you could keep doing it around this clock face all the way around. And you know what? If you don't need them, you can just cut those out on either side and use a transition if you want. When I was shooting that coffee segment, there were a lot of times I put the camera on a tripod, I would pan in, and then I would go and grab the beans or whatever and pour them in. And then when I'm done, I'd set it down and then pan away. Now that seems like a really, really long time, but I'm on a tripod, which means that when I pan and I stop moving the camera and I'm doing something else, the difference between that last frame of when the camera stopped moving and the first frame of when the beans start pouring in, I can cut all of that out and you'd never know. In fact, I did that many, many times because the camera was a very stationary point on a tripod, and that made it very easy to just cut that out and you never saw the difference. A simple action was following the chocolate syrup down to the cup. I just kind of heightened that by going down. It wasn't anything spectacular. It wasn't a full pan away. It was just a movement. But what it did was it showed the cup, and then I did a transition right into that cup and came right back out into the next shot of me pouring the espresso into the cup. With the vlogging world, a lot of people will cut their hand over the end of the lens, and then all you got to do is remember, I did that, so I need to undo that at some point. So, hey, I'm vlogging, blah, blah, blah. I'll be right back. pop it, and then when you come back, you need to remember that you had done that. Come back, hey, and all right, so I'm back. So that's a quick little fast transition. As soon as you cover the lens, you can cut that frame and then cut right when you start to release that. And to the viewer, it's completely seamless. Super easy in camera. Now, always try to give your montage just a little bit of motion if you can. Any kind of motion will help draw a boring subject and make it more interesting. If you're pouring a cup of coffee, that might be a little boring to the camera in such a short period of time. So you could do a little bit of movement in it. You could be panning the camera just ever so slightly and then pan out fast. Or you can move the camera in, move the camera out, up, down, side to side. You can do a little bit of motion. You know, a lot of cameras nowadays have image stabilization built into them, and they are amazing for just simple little handheld shots. You can get a little bit of movement in there and it will feel like you're on a slider if you just practice. The best way to learn how to do this is don't put your arms all the way out, don't put your arms all the way in, get them just out a little bit and don't let them rest on your chest because you're breathing in and out, which means your camera's gonna go up and down. So if you just pop them out just a little bit, and then you can do it this way. That's just side to side. Hey, I'm using a swivel. So you could just, every single shot in that montage was shot at 60 frames a second and put on a 24 frame timeline. It was shot in 2.5 times slow motion. The reason? I could speed it up and make it look normal speed. I can slow it down. And there were many times I was doing speed ramping in there. We're gonna cover speed ramping on another video, another tutorial, but there was speed ramping, there were transitions, there was sound effects. Sound effects are very powerful in getting to sell that montage to someone as something interesting. I shot that entire montage by myself. So anywhere that I had to do complex movements, then I put it on a tripod, and then I did the pan, and then I stopped, and then I did where I was, put it down, and then I panned away. Anything that I could handhold, I handheld. It wasn't a problem. I just shoot it nice and smooth. And you can do it 6 or 7 times. I have probably 12 takes of every single shot in there. Practice, and then I go back and I do it again, and then I do it again, and then I stop. And then I'll go back and watch it just to see what did I miss. Okay, I'm not hitting that scale just perfectly when I pan over, so I need to get a little muscle memory. So put it on the tripod and take my hand and just sit there and hit it. Hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it. And I kept doing that until I could just hit that scale just by remembering it. And then at that point, I could hit the scale and throw something down. It was not a problem. Looking at some of these videos that you can see here, there's the lighting set up. I mean, I'm just sitting at the table, the cat's right over here, and I'm just practicing over and over and over and over again until I get it right. And sure, I would get upset periodically because it wasn't working the way I thought it was, and then you just go back, look at your video, see what you can do, and then change. Montages are very powerful story segments, and try to tell that story in the montage. Don't just let it be random pictures or random shots. That isn't gonna tell anything. If you notice, that coffee montage was every step from start to finish to make coffee, including me not liking the coffee at the end. So that in a nutshell is how you do montages in camera. We're gonna go into the transition side of that on another video where I actually show you the transitions that I used, how I use them, and how easy it is to speed ramp. We'll do that one in another tutorial as well. As always, if you have any questions, do feel free to leave those in the comment section below. I do pay attention and read all of those, and I try to reply to every single one of them eventually. If you could click that subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate it. I wanna build this community, a giant base of filmmakers who just want to get better at their craft, and I want to go along for the ride and help and teach anything that I can. If you click that little alert button next to it, it'll let you know every time I upload a video because you want to know, right? And if you would, give me a thumbs up because thumbs ups are cool. I mean, yay! Be sure to tell all your friends and other filmmakers about my channel because, I mean, that's what I'm here for. So, as always, this is Scott Balkum from Imagination Creation Films, and as I always like to say, don't let your passions be centered around your life, let your life be centered around your passions. Ba, 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 ba.